Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming today. I look forward to the topic ahead. And with that being said, let us begin. Imagine a world where the truth hides in the shadows, injustices remain unseen, and the powerful evade accountability. Sounds eerily familiar, does it not? Well, this was the harsh reality of 19th century Nellie Bly. The purpose of this presentation is to highlight her groundbreaking achievements through her investigative journalism, her fearless approach to societal issues, and her contributions to mental health reform. Nellie Bly would emerge as a trailblazer whose works continue to inspire and resonate today. And she would do all this with her pen as her sword and courage as her shield. In 1864, Elizabeth Cochran was born. Early in her life, her father would sadly pass away, which would leave the family with meager means, which would force her to move to Pittsburgh to help her mother run a boarding house in order to support the family. During this time, the Pittsburgh Dispatch would publish an article called "What Women Are Good For," and it ultimately said that the only role that a woman should have was that one inside of a home. Nellie, being the progressive thinker of her time, would respond with her own letter called "The Girl Puzzle," and it would ultimately demand that men should give more jobs to women outside the home in order for them to support their families. The editor was so impressed that he offered Nellie a job, and this would be the start of her journalism career. Sadly, though, she was limited in what she could write, so she would resign and move to New York, where she would be challenged by Joseph Pulitzer to investigate New York's most notorious insane asylums. Never to shy away from a challenge, Nellie did just that. She would claim insanity and go undercover as an insane patient at Blackwell's Island Asylum, also known as Roosevelt Island today. During her time there, she would uncover the harsh reality of patients there, from neglect, abuse, and lack of medical care. And she would later write 10 Days in a Madhouse, revealing how patients were treated, and it would spark public outcry for more legislative reforms. With her work at the asylum, she would usher in the precedent for change in investigative journalism. Next, her approach to societal issues helped pave the way for movements of change. For instance, she would investigate the lives of women who would work in factories. She would then again go undercover and pose as a factory worker herself, where she would then pose as a factory worker, and she had a very hard time finding a job at first. But once she did, she would work for a measly $0 for the first 2 weeks of her employment, and then $1.50 for every day after. She would reveal later on in her work called "The Girl Who Makes Boxes" that they were underpaid and uncared for, and it would reveal the harsh factory working conditions and the unfair pay that they received. Because of this, the revelations would prompt for improved working conditions and fair compensation. Also, in her other investigations, she would politically look through the government and the flaws that was occurring, and she would expose the flaws in which would spark public demand and transparency from politicians. Her works not only informed the public, but they encouraged change. Lastly, Nellie had a profound effect on mental health reform. Because of the detailed accounts at Blackwell's Island Asylum, it would shock the nation as a whole, and it would push a movement that was spread across the United States that would fight against Blackwell's failures and push for improved standards of care for the mentally ill. Because of this, it led to greater public awareness of the needs of those struggling with mental illness. In closing, let us carry forward Nellie Bly's message that journalism has the power to shine a light in the darkest corners of society, amplifies the voices of the marginalized, and inspires change. Her investigative works, infused with her empathy, ignited movements that continue to shape the world today. Nellie Bly's legacy will forever be a torch of courage, integrity, and enduring pursuit of truth. You can find more about Nellie Bly at the Library of Congress, womenshistory.org, as well as the Archive of American Journalism. Thank you so much for coming today. Goodbye.
You did it. You did it.